Hello, I'm Dr. Kim Duramo, founder of the American Institute of Mind-Body Medicine. And in this video, we're going to talk about, can you cure chronic fatigue syndrome? As a physician, I am very well versed with a lot of the current thinking around chronic fatigue syndrome. In conventional medicine, for a long time, it was a wastebasket diagnosis, meaning I have no idea what's really going on, and I have no idea how to help you resolve that. But that's evolved a long way, where there are a lot of more open-minded approaches looking at how do we manipulate your physiology? How do we fix this? How do we change that? How do we use nutrition and supplements to help you manage this? And that's wonderful. But a lot of times it doesn't actually create a resolution. So if you're tired of managing chronic fatigue syndromes or related symptoms, and you actually have the intention to resolve that fully and live from a deeper source, a well of energy that heals your body, energizes your body, and allows you to live in true vitality, stay tuned, because that's what this video is for. I experienced this myself many years back when I was in medical school. I was learning pathophysiology all day, focusing on disease, and my body kept getting more and more and more sick. Doctors had no idea what was going on with me. I was completely dumbfounded and kept searching and searching, what's wrong with me? And even though I found some solutions, I realized I was on like a long-term path to nowhere, because none of them were truly going to help me understand this, resolve this at the core, so I lived free from chronic fatigue syndrome and free from autoimmune disease. And it wasn't until I shifted my thinking around this and shifted my relationship with my body that everything changed and my energy came back. I have since shown thousands of people how to do this with great results, especially for resolving chronic fatigue syndrome. And the principle is that your physical reality is governed by your consciousness. In fact, Nikola Tesla said the medicine of the future will be one of frequency and energy and consciousness, understanding that consciousness, the way we think and relate to what's happening, is what impacts the physical material reality. We've seen this in quantum physics. We've also seen this in the study of epigenetics, which is more of a new medical science in the last 30 years, to understand that our genes, our chemistry, and our physiology are governed by our own thinking. And so when I experienced a severe autoimmune disease and chronic fatigue syndrome, I realized I was in battle with my body. I was really afraid of failure, so I was not going to let this get me down. I was not going to let this slow me down. I was going to keep pushing through and overcoming. Well, guess what that does physiologically? You're overrunning your adrenals. It will burn out your adrenals and then later, subsequently, your thyroid. You may end up getting diagnosed with thyroid disease first, not even realizing there's something going on overrunning your adrenals. But your body's in this chronic fight or flight, the sympathetic nervous system. What it takes to heal, reboot, rebalance your energy is the opposite of that, the parasympathetic nervous system, the it's a relaxation response, rest and digest phase. And in Harvard University, they have decades of research showing that the body can heal itself when this system is properly activated. And so I realized for myself, and I've seen in thousands and thousands of people I've worked with, they're in this subconscious pattern overrunning the sympathetic nervous system that will overrun your adrenals, overrun your thyroid, and eventually lead to what is called chronic fatigue syndrome. There is a way to resolve this and a cure, but it does not lie in the realm of the physical. That means no matter how you learn to manage your vitamin D level, vitamin B level, your genetics, and manipulate your system with all kinds of different approaches or supplements, until you get to the root and allow a resolution at that level, you're going to continue to be in that stress physiology that creates chronic fatigue. How do we unwind this? Well, there are several ways, but most importantly, we've got to get to the subconscious. Your system, your nervous system, the sympathetic fight or flight response, the parasympathetic rest and digest rebalancing response are 98% run by your unconscious programming. So you may not even realize you're carrying and suppressing old emotions, fear, shame, overwhelm, anger, or repressed past trauma, right? A lot of people I work with will say, well, I haven't really had any trauma, or they have trauma, but they think, well, I've already resolved that, but it's still in their nervous system. What you can do by listening, which is really what allowed me to resolve this for myself, listening from a deeper space, right? Instead of listening by, I need to fix it, I need to overcome it, I actually received what my body was telling me, right? I was in receivership. I was no longer fixing or fighting. The energy could move through. So getting out of resistance, getting more into presence, feeling and sensing what's actually happening in my body right now. What's happening when I have those symptoms? Because if you break it down to the micro, you can see this resistance pattern in place in real time where the fatigue comes up, you feel overwhelmed, you gear up and try to push harder to overcome because you're afraid it will overtake you. So there's a feeling of powerlessness. This is kind of the second thing. So the fear, the powerlessness, and then all of this repression. I had this idea that if I stopped fighting, somehow my life would never work out. I'd be a failure. Or if I didn't fight these symptoms, they'd overtake me and ruin my life. So yeah, of course you're going to be in like a constant fight if there's that conclusion. What I realized though was my body's wisdom was actually trying to show me something, that I couldn't keep running on the fumes of that fight or flight hamster wheel of self-improvement, avoiding and, overwhelm. That wasn't going to get me what I really wanted. I had to let that go. And in that way, what was required was a shift in consciousness. When I became more in acceptance of myself at the deepest levels, I could automatically stop fighting my system. I no longer lived in that fight or flight and my system could reboot. I've shown many, many people how to do this. And I have two possibilities for you. One is a free 5-day reboot to reboot your energy. It's the Mind Body Get Your Energy Back 5-day challenge, and I'll put the link for that right here. And one is a home study course that I've created called The Mind Body Solution for Chronic Fatigue and Brain Fog. This brings you through the exact processes I did myself that brought me out of that sympathetic overload, shooting down my adrenals and my thyroid and causing chronic fatigue syndrome. And more, it only takes 2% at a time, into that parasympathetic rest and digest healing response in my body. And even just a short time in that space every day can allow all of this to heal. That's what happened for me. That is at drkimd.com/CF. And you can go to that link right now if you're ready. If you'd like to do the 5-day Get Your Energy Back challenge, I will leave the link for that in the video notes below and you can get started right away. I know what's possible because I see it every day. I relate to my body in a whole different way now than I ever did before. So when any symptoms arise, I let the energy move through. I've shown the people I've worked with how to be in that surrender. Your body's made of energy. And that energy, what you resist persists. It's just going to get that energy of fatigue and fight stuck in your system. It doesn't need to be. Your adrenals can restore and rebalance at the deepest levels. So you no longer even may need any of those supplements that maybe you're physiologically required right now. It also shifts your genetics. We've seen in epigenetic studies that the genes you have for disease can be turned off. And these are the exact pathways through which that happens. Your energy is sourced through you, not from you. And so all that time I took trying to reboot myself, push through, just exhausted me. You're going to learn in this 5-day challenge the pathways to open so the energy can move through you and reboot your system now. So you can join the 5-day Get Your Energy Back challenge and I'll walk you through this process. I look forward to seeing you on the other side.